Everyone's very interesting. More interesting than they realize themselves. Be you. And you is just breathing and being. You don't have to forcibly do anything. A lot of the times we overthink everything.
Yeah.
So take off the mask. Don't overthink. Just be.
Hello and welcome back to Bath Time with Kiley Mac. And today we have my roommate and dear friend, John O'Brien. I call him Johnny, but John O'Brien.
There we go.
And John is a magician of many things, but one is truly his ability to be raw and real in the moment through improv, through comedy, through singing. He lights up the room. Everyone that meets him just knows that how far he's gonna go in life. And so I'm so excited. It's gonna be a really fun episode today, if you can't already tell. We're having a lot of fun already. We kind of we're already going into a podcast. So we had to stop and
yeah, we had to get the rest of the set. We had rubber duckies, loofahs, whatever this is called, a little shower cap, just to, bring the whole environment to the scene.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
You gotta play the character.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that you're so good at, is being real and in your person, but also livening up the scene, always knowing when to speak and drop something funny and just lighten the energy of the room. So Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I love this. More relaxed.
I know, right? You got the rose Epsom salt and rubber duckies and flowers that we foraged in Malibu.
Yep.
So we live in good, honey.
This is exactly what we were talking right before, is effortless. We're gonna film a podcast and just enjoy, relax in ease of a bathtub. It's effortless.
Right?
We're recording, we're filming, it's all perfect. So I love this.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, well, there's so many things we could talk about. You've had such a cool career already with people you've worked with, things you've pursued, classes you've taken, opportunities you've had, places you've lived, and so when thinking about what we could talk about, there was just so many things. And so, today I would just love if we can dive more into how to explore that levity, that lightness that you bring when playing characters, when weaving it through your life. And something that I've always admired is people who are so comfortable in improv, that are so comfortable just to channel and freestyle whatever is coming up in that moment. And so I would love to pick your brain on, how you've kind of gotten there and what your journey has been. Yeah,
it's so funny to hear you say all that, because I feel who is this guy? He sounds like a master at controlling the environment and himself, and I'm totally the opposite. I am the most insecure in the moment type of that's what I love about improv, is it teaches you not to be insecure with your choices or what you say or your decisions. Even right now, sitting in a podcast, we did not outline points we were going to say. We're just going off the cuff, going with the flow of the conversation. And that's what improv is you just get sometimes a suggestion from the audience that's you're at a pizzeria, and it's okay, right when it starts, you didn't even discuss with your partner yet, who you are, what you're doing, how long you've known each other. So you just start going, and I'm hey mom, I'm so happy we opened this family pizzeria, whatever. And you're just all right, now you're my mom. You have to go with that.
Honey, go in the back. I left the cheese. You forgot to close the freezer.
Exactly. And I just have to go, okay. I don't go, mom, there's no freezer in the back. You're loony. Cause now it's oh, you already negated. Yeah. So that's what's cool too, is improv is yes and. That's the big number one rule. You could fuck all the, excuse my French. You could say whatever, you could throw all the other rules out the window, but the number one thing is just yes and, agree. And I think that's such a big thing, which could be something that handicaps you in life when you're a people pleaser and you're just yes, yes, yes. But the idea of, or the mindset of we can make this work. Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, and just living with that mindset as opposed to everything is oh, no. So I think improv just helps with everyday life in a sense.
I love that. Yeah, speaking to it, riding on the flow versus stopping, getting off the bike, slamming on the brakes, stopping. Yes. It's no, just okay, I said that, oof, swerve, keep flowing. Okay, woof, woof, just keep flowing with it. And I think that is a really cool thing in life. And when you first started doing improv, what was your story? When did it find you? Or have you always just been this character of characters?
I think obviously since I was a little kid, it was just probably looked at as just lying at a young age, but like, you know, you just like improvise with things. Yeah. I remember in second grade, everyone was talking in class about Hawaii. Everyone had a connection to Hawaii. They were all like, my parents got married in Hawaii. We did a family vacation in Hawaii, all this stuff. And I was like, well, I'm going to Hawaii this weekend. And they were like, oh, for Easter vacation? Because it happened to roll. And now again, it just worked. And I'm like, yes. And I'm going to visit my uncle with my little cousins that live out there. Whole story, whatever. We come back, do a show and tell. But again, life works out and just gives you what, you know, hands you what you need. My mom for Easter always gave us little baskets of little Easter goodies. Yeah. For some reason this year we got like beach towels and flip-flops. So it was like, oh my God, perfect. I have something to show and tell at like school about Hawaii. So I bring this to school. I'm like, this is from Hawaii. It was really fun. And someone's like, that's from the Gap. I kept character, but I got called out because someone's like, it's from the Gap. It said GAP. I'm like, they have a Gap in Hawaii, you know, like trying to just, again, like keep going with it, flowing with it. And then I got called out because my teacher saw my mom at pickup and was like, Lisa, how was Hawaii for Easter with your family? Oh my gosh, John. And she's like, we didn't go to Hawaii. And she's like, John literally came up with this whole story. You visited your uncle, his your brother, and his kids, and he got these towels from a beach shop out in Hawaii. And I was like, oh my God, she called me out like from the line one day going in between class to class. And she was like, John, can I see you? And she was just like, why? Like asking me, why did I do it? And I was just like, oh wait, is this not allowed? Like to just make up stories? And like, I wasn't really, you know, I didn't think of it as like a lie. It was just like to make up a story and go with it and be a part. So it's funny how at that age, that's what it started out as. But then obviously when I found out, oh, this is something you could do, like I watched SNL constantly. So even though that's a little more scripted, but they came from improv backgrounds and improv training. And then I moved out to Los Angeles and found the Groundlings, and the Groundlings is like the place where a lot of SNL people have come from. So when I discovered that, I was like, this is what I love, because it's improv, the character improv. So there are other improvs you can do, but you're like John and Kiley improvising. Okay. You don't put on the wig and the costume and like the funny glasses or the mustache. So that's what I love about the Groundlings is you're literally another character improvising. And sometimes that's where I find the most freedom because it's not John. So I don't have to worry, what is John about to say that now, ooh, Kiley might be offended if John says this, or how will she take this because it's not John, it's, you know, Albert that I put on the accent and the thing. So now Albert has this point of view and can say something that's, again, no harm, no foul towards anything. There's always a line. Some people get too over the line and you're like, whoa, that's not funny. Don't joke about that. But there are some things that like, oh, okay, you could play upon that maybe John playing upon would be like, ooh, but Albert playing upon it, it's like, oh, perfect. It's Albert. It's a character. So we accept this in a sense.
I love
So there's
that.
More freedom sometimes as a character.
Yeah, totally. And costumes alone too, just to like really get out of our everyday norm too.
Well, that's what's
Which
so
I don't
great.
think we do enough.
Exactly.
I don't do enough. Yeah.
Like even just dressing up, like if you're constantly, especially with the pandemic, I'm sure everyone got trapped in like a whole sweatpants every day and not putting on makeup, or again, if you're a guy, you weren't, or guys do wear makeup, you can wear makeup, but just saying whatever you normally did, you probably stopped doing because you weren't in that same flow or routine. Yeah. But then you get trapped and then it's like, oh wait, when I put something else on, I do feel a little more like this. And sometimes what's fun to play with is that mindset for other people. If you're not an actor, just to play around with like, I do feel a little more like powerful when I wear this jacket. So wear your power jacket when you know you're going on like a first date or a big job interview, you know, to give you that mindset that like, I'm a character who has power that can like tell it like it is, like those people on those movies or those TV shows that I love to watch, because that's why we get sucked into binging these things or why we fall in love with characters. It's like, there's something about them that like, almost the grass is greener on their side. I want that life. I want to be like them. It's like, yeah, I want to be able, sometimes for me, it's like, I want to be able to wake up at 8 a.m. and like pop a beer and like, you know, smoke a cigarette and drive off in my truck and like, you know, go solve a murder mystery or something. And it's like, those are the things I grasp toward. I'm not doing that as John every day, but it's what makes me escape into like, I want to be like that. So some people I think get on the more positive side because I'm a little loony. My mom would watch something and be like, I want to be like that woman. And she's like strong, empowered, you know, owns a business, owns real estate. And I'm like, you could do that, Mom. But she's like, it's so far away. It's on the other side of the screen. And it's like, no, you can have that too.
Wow. I love that as a permission slip too, not just as like, oh, ideate about it, but like permission slip to like, what would it be like if you were that character? Like, Mom, what would it be like if you like put on this kind of outfit and decided to start this business? And like, it's a really big permission slip because at the end of the day, at some point, we all are kind of playing these characters that we are constantly creating, right? So I could decide today that I'm this character, and then we have multiple friends who are like, you know what, I'm done with this character. I'm shaving my head. I'm changing my name, or whatever they're doing, and they're literally changing their archetype of their character, and completely changing how they show up in the world. And then that character gets a whole fresh start at verbiage or speaking or acting or the way they walk or whatever it is.
It's so true.
Yeah. And we were talking the other day how I was reading that big book of birthdays or whatever, and how the card for my birthday was priestess. And I'd already been like writing about the word priestess and all that. And I think I told you when we were out tanning one day, but I was like, oh, it's been so fun because I've been like embodying this energy of priestess. Like, you know, because I'm like, oh, sorry. Ooh, or I'm like in the kitchen doing something. I'm like, no, a priestess when it's like, my head's held high, I'm calm, I'm diplomatic, I'm listening, and I'm walking a little slower, and I'm feeling like I'm almost floating a little. You know, like, ooh, that's better than like the crap, I gotta grab an apple. Like, you just notice how, like, but it's our life. So what are the characters that we want to play? And it's still coming from a genuine place. Like, I'm just getting to choose in that moment. Am I going to be the frantic, overwhelmed version of Kiley, or I'm going to be like the calm, peaceful, slowed down priestess? They're both Kiley. Yes. Because I'm the vessel they're pouring through.
Yes. And it's all what's so crazy too when we're like, who is Kiley, who's John? We're just, you know, sculpted into, you know, our upbringing, what we were exposed to. Like I said, even when we were talking about like arguments and how sometimes you only have a handset of vocabulary words. You don't have the whole dictionary in your mind. So you use that handful of vocabulary words to express that energy of anger. And sometimes it is really harsh words, but that's what you were exposed to, or the only way you saw how you express anger. So it's not coming out in like other ways. But that's also, going back to characters, a choice to make as a character. Like, are you a character that like right off the cuff will like really high temper anger management type of thing? Or can you breathe? You're a little more like a monk, you know, like type of like, let me breathe and like handle this right now. And it's like, how do I want to carry myself in the world? Or like, why can't I change? Why am I stuck in this way? It's like, well, you don't have to go by those traits you've always lived by, or those, you know, ideas and ways of life and beliefs. You can change them and not feel like you're acting, or now you're not Kiley anymore or John anymore, because it's just a new updated version. Just like all our phones, all our technology, we don't have the same iPhone we've been having since 2004. You know, we've updated, we've got upgraded, we get new purple ones this year, you know, if that's what you want. You get a different case. Sometimes my sisters have a million phone cases for the same phone they've had for like 2 months, you know, and it's like the same thing as like your outfit. Like, you get to change those things and live a different life each day. And it does start with like just that moment. It doesn't have to be the whole, well, hopefully in a month things change. It's like, well, let me just focus. Sometimes that's what you worry about. And I thought about it with climbing. We have scaffolding around our house. So we like to climb up to the roof, and I'm scared of heights. And I kept thinking about like, but if I fall and and I was like, well, I'm already projecting like future thoughts of the fear, but I'm actually fine just actually holding on to this and climbing this and holding on to that and stopping here and being there. But when I overthink, but now if I move and do that, I'm like, but I don't even have to think of the next step. I just have to be present in this step. And it's like, if I just am present in the moment of like, now I'm changing this, and be present with just that small moment, as opposed to thinking like, well, now what about all those other moments that will eventually come up in my future that I need to be like this for? It's like, oh, don't even think about when that next, you just had to change the thing you wanted to change in this moment. And then whatever the next moment is, be aware of and conscious and present of that moment, and do whatever change you want for that. And not worry that like, will I be able to stick to this? Is this now permanent? How do I keep this up? It's like, no, you keep it up just from going moment by moment, beat by beat almost, you know? You can't sing the whole song in one breath. You can't eat the whole ham in one bite, or the non-vegan ham, the vegan ham in one bite. So, you know, you gotta bit by bit.
Yeah.
Chew it.
I love that.
Chew it.
Chew it, baby.
Yeah.
One chomp at a time, one breath at a time. Yeah, that's such a big, really big, yeah, just, I know it's so corny, but like permission slip, because I feel like even in today's world, or at least in our community, I feel like we're all like these Renaissance people. Like, I feel like I've said that a lot, and it's like, we're all so dynamic. We all are like artists and teachers and healers and creatives and workers and actors and art, like just, we're all so many things, and one person is all of that.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we kind of are always kind of, you know, putting on these different hats or putting on these different outfits or characters in a lot of ways, but they're all us. And so for me, it's like, how do we get to a place where, because I know for myself, sometimes I get stuck in like the over seriousness of like, okay, this is me, you know, teaching a class, and then now this is me cooking this meal, and or for friends, or hosting, or, you know, and it's like, how the permission of play, in the sense of like, why do I get so serious in the moment of like, it has to look this certain way, or it has to be perfect in this way, and kind of being like, you know what, fuck the perfection. Like, can I just play in the moment? And if I say the wrong thing, or I'm singing and my voice kind of squeaks, or like, you know, like that full permission, which I think we all kind of like, you know, you really give permission, because like even you singing in the shower. So like, we are in one house, there's like 12 of us in one house, and John's down the hallway, but my bathroom is like pretty much like next to your bathroom. And there's moments you'll be singing in the shower and like going all like riffing on all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, wow, I've never heard someone sing in the shower like this. Like, you just have no bounds, like no boundaries, like completely unbound, completely free. And it's inspired me so much, because first of all, hadn't sang in the shower in so long, because at Mother Tree was just like one tiny shower, and maybe I'd sing a little here and there, but it's like, we all were like right there, so trying to be polite. But I love that you're like, fuck that, like, you don't even think, you're just in the shower singing. So now, I think the last like 2 months, I've just been singing every time I'm in the shower. Yes. And then also playing with like the deep feeling of it, not trying to like harmonize and make it be perfect, but like the feeling, and like doing weird things with it, and like playing with it. Like, such a permission to play.
And also like finding Kiley's voice with the singing, because sometimes you try and mimic the sounds and the pitches that you're listening to. And we could all try and be, you know, Ariana Grande, but we don't hit that pitch, all of us. But what is John's pitch of that Ariana Grande thing? And that brings me to, with acting, it's like, what's John's character of this description, of this breakdown of a character version of that? Because I'm going to audition for it, so is a million other people for the same thing. So what is John's version versus that other guy's version? And it's like, where's John's voice? And to find it by playing around with all the different ranges, because yeah, you could be told this is the la 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 la, and I'm like, but find like a la la la, la la la, yeah, you know, like find anything, find any weird noise. I think someone told me once, I think it was from someone at the Mother Tree, that it was like, have the permission to just make a noise, like our body can just do like, you know, and just like allow, and like, that's what I'll do in the shower, to just be like, oh my god, what is happening? You know, and you just find a voice and you go with something. And like, sometimes people ask me like, what were you just singing? And I'll have something playing softly, but the lyrics then spark something else in me, and it'll be like the burning ring of fire, and it goes down, 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 and I'm going down the mountain, and I'm flying through the sunshine, and I'm being my own self. And you know, just like, that was part of like a song, and then part of just like whatever cams, and then you just, there's no mistakes. I had a kindergarten teacher, love her, Mrs. Leaf, who said there are no mistakes. Mrs. Leaf, L-E-A-F, Leaf. And she was writing on one of those, you know, like big post-it note, like board things. And she was like, she started writing something out, like the date, and it was like the wrong date. And someone's like, it's not Monday, it's Tuesday. And she was like, oh, and she scribbled it out, and they were like, well, now it's all messed up. And she's like, there ever are no mistakes. And she just started drawing something out of the mistake and coloring things in. And she made like a big choo-choo train, and then wrote the date, and then started, and I was like, just from learning that in kindergarten, I think like has made, like grew so much in me, just knowing that like there are no mistakes. Like, you can always do something, and like, even that's what I love about life experiences is like, if milk spills, it's like, instead of getting mad or allowing yourself to get mad and then realizing you're mad and being like, ooh, I just got to be mad here. And like, there is no mistake. It's like, I got to be mad. I got to experience the mad feeling over spilt milk. Awesome. You know, like finding that in the life as opposed to like, why is this happening? Why is everything a mistake? It's like, nothing's a mistake. You can see it a different way.
Oof, it feels so good when we say that. Just like full permission to just be like light and bright, which is what I want this podcast to be for people. It's just like these constant invitations into different ways that we can feel freer and lighter and brighter in our own existence, because or else what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so sick of the density and the heaviness, and we all go through those phases of it. But it's like one of my teachers, Jeff Krasno, who started Commune and Wanderlust Yoga, he's an amazing mentor of mine. And he once said that what he's gathered through working with all these like sages and spiritual leaders of our time is that enlightenment is really just, how can we make ourselves feel lighter? Ooh. Like, what if that's all enlightenment was?
Yeah.
And I was like, and that doesn't mean that you don't have responsibility to take social justice in action. It's actually like, that's what can make you feel lighter, because you're doing stuff for humanity. So I just love that, because when you speak and you're doing that and you're being yourself, like, you just are a slip of permission and invitation for all of us. And I think that's why we all believe in you so much. And it's just because your purity and what you're going for and your playfulness, it's like you take your playing seriously. You know what I mean? It's like in a good way of like, not at all, but like you're serious about not taking it serious.
Yeah.
You know?
And with the permission slip, it's like I realized in myself when someone did that for me in a group setting, when they were able to go that way, be like that, it gave me that feeling of like, oh, now I can do this or open up like that because they did. So I'm always like, so is there more people like me who's waiting for that other person to just do it? So I just have to do it to then give other people that same energy or feel? And I've always thought about it in the terms of like, because, you know, you watch those movies and it's like the really nice person, you know, gets made fun of or bullied by like the mean people. And it's like, why do we get drawn to though that like that's the popular, that's the cool thing? Yeah. When like, why isn't there more like a assertion over the kindness of like, that's wrong? You know, when like, someone is like cool, hating. Yeah. So I'm always like, if someone wants to judge and like almost make fun of from the judgment of myself or from someone else, it's like, I feel bad on that person. Yeah. I can't let that person, you know, pee all over the place. I gotta tell them, you know, there's a bathroom over there. There's a toilet right there. Pee in there, guy, not all over my floor.
Yeah, on my parade.
yeah, exactly. Don't pee on my parade.
Don't pee on my parade.
Yeah. So tell Barbara Streisand.
So when we are learning, like for anyone watching and for myself in this moment as a guinea pig, you know, what would an exercise be for us to be able to kind of like get out of our own identity, our own self, and like really begin to develop characters? Because you're also an amazing writer. You're also someone who's constantly, you know, noting things in your life that like inspire you for characters, for ideas. And so I feel like you'd be a great person to peel out some, you know, an exercise.
Yeah. I mean, the first that comes to mind is whenever you're thinking of a character or you just want to get out of, you know, maybe you just don't want to feel like John today or Kiley today. So you find something or think about someone in your life, because you always think like, I think of my mom, for instance, like what's one thing about my mom, and love her. And she's gonna, if she hears this, she's gonna,
wait to meet you.
Well, she's gonna hate me after this. Okay. But one thing I think of when I think of my mom is she loves to watch TV, but then always comment like, who put her on TV? How did she get on TV? Oh my gosh, she's the worst. You know, and she's always commenting on something and nitpicking at it. Or something like she always will comment like, I just, you know, Carol wants me to go out tonight and I don't want to go out tonight. I don't really want to do that. And then a night later she'll be like, so Carol and Diane went out. Did I get an invite? No. And I'm like, but the other night you were just saying you didn't want to go out with them. And she's like, yeah, but I could have gotten an invite. You know, and she's just, that's something I think of like, oh, okay, so John would not care if Carol and Diane, you know, but my mom, there's like this thing. So like, what is it? Oh, okay, she has this almost like hypocrite or like I don't want to do it. Oh, now I want to do it. So something like, okay, so that's something that comes up for me. I don't want to do it. Oh, now I want to do it. So then I just start thinking things like, ooh, what do I want to do, but then not want to do? And it's like, I don't want to go to the beach. Oh, wait, you guys are going to the beach? I want to go to the beach. And then you just start coming up with like a story and then maybe a character comes up. But sometimes I like to pick one thing to really specifically think of a character and ask myself why. Like, I love candles. Why?
Okay.
Because I love to light things on fire. Why? Because when I light things on fire, it makes me get excited, you know, and like you just start finding things and then you start to realize you're like this, like, you know, you love fire and you just want to burn things and like everything is like waiting to be lit on fire and like you don't know when you might find a match or a lighter or something to just like light, you know, and you're just like, you know, that comes up and you're like, ooh, okay, what could this be for? Or like, you know, maybe you're now in a scene where you're running a 4th of July event and you're like, oh my God, you're at a 4th of July event. And you're like, look at all those fireworks. Oh my God, look at all those fireworks. Holy shit, you know, and you're like, oh, now you just came up with the whole story. You're a guy who's at like a 4th of July event, like, and all of a sudden you see all the fireworks and then you create this story of like the need, the want to go light these fireworks, but what's getting in the way? Which we all, everything in life, we have a need, we have a want, but what's in the way and how do we get that thing out of the way to actually get what we want?
Yeah. Okay, so it'd be like, okay, so here you are, you're at the place, you see the fireworks, you're like, oh, I want to get the fireworks, da da da, and then it's like flash forward 10 years and like you're back at that scene and now you're looking at it from the lens outward and you're looking out at the crowd and you look down and you realize that you're the firefighter about to light it on and your whole love of fire, you accidentally like burn down the whole back forest of where you're living, so that you became like, oh my gosh, fire is powerful, but now I want to be a firefighter, and so I trained, and then it goes all these shots of this person like training to be a firefighter, and now they're a firefighter because whatever, right? But it's like you could just keep going down the line.
Keep going, do the full circle, because everyone finds, you know, that moment where they thought they were this, and then it's not true, and then, oh wait, I'm actually this or that. So it's like the same thing. I want to light things on fire, and it's like, oh no, wait, I've turned a corner. I want to save people from fires, not light them on fire.
Exactly, where they have that character moment, that shift of like what matters to them, and that like anchoring moment of like that defining moment of like that path of like what fork to take kind of thing. So if you're just like going about your day, do you like, how often throughout the day are you playing with improv? Are you thinking of characters? Is this just like running your own script all the time almost? Or like
it's almost like like you can't turn it off ever. So it is always a constant thing. Like even yesterday I'm watching the hockey game with Boozer, one of our roommates' dogs, and I'm watching him and he's just sitting there and I'm like, hey Boozer, right now, if you look right now, it's about 56.6 seconds left in the second period. So that means they got to score right now, or then it's going to go into the third period. But that's, oh look, it's Matt Barzell. There he is. He's actually a really good player. So are you into hockey, sir? No? All right, well, there's a game on right now if you want to sit down and watch it with me. Oh no, you don't want, okay, sir, excuse me? No, we're not going in there right now. And like he was walking away to go in the bathroom, you know, and I'm like, just in that mode, just going off of it, just because like it comes and it's like, just do it. It's fun. Like it's fun to play with the voice, and I don't know, it just comes out, and then it's like, whoa. So I mean, you could turn it off. You know the right time and place. You don't just do it like randomly. But there's always something like that would be hilarious in a movie, you know, or something like I'm always like, ooh, clocking things or people's mannerisms or the way they carry themselves or the way they speak and talk. I'm always noting like, ooh, that's interesting. Everyone's very interesting. More interesting than they realize themselves. And I'm thinking like, I'm not interesting. I don't know how to do this. And it's like, no, someone's watching this and being like, that guy's really interesting. I don't feel it. I don't see it. But I feel it and see it with everyone else around me. So there is someone that's feeling and seeing it for me. And there's someone else who's not feeling it and seeing it because I know I'm not feeling it and seeing it. You know, and it's all that.
All of it.
There's all of it. Everyone's feeling everything.
All of it, always. But what a cool way to like weave in the world and look at the whole world as like these like interesting characters versus like getting caught up in like taking things personally or seeing like writing off someone because of some part of their character, you know, but like through your eyes just now, I felt like I saw the world in like a different way that I even see it in through my lens, because you're just seeing the whole world as these completely different characters. And instead of seeing the person yelling at whoever and you're like, oh God, I wonder what's, you're like, ooh, like, wow, they're really feeling this moment. And like, wow, look at the way the light's hitting her and her purple coat with these crazy pink shoes. And, or like, you know, you're like taking it all in versus just like, oh, I'm walking by and like, oh, there's a couple fighting. Okay.
Right.
And it's like, oof, like what a cool way to like expand our awareness as I'm holding rubber duckies, exactly. Expand our awareness into like really observing the life or the world around us, with all of the characters, with the dogs even, or the garbage man going by, or like just what a cool way, instead of being like, oh, this is ruining my day. Like the other day we had construction just pop up. It was yesterday, and we didn't know we were having construction on the house, which is something you should probably know if you're living somewhere. So we just hear like hammering on the wall, and there's like wood being delivered. We're like, what? But in that moment, it's like, oh my God, this is a hilarious like comedy. Yeah. Right? And so, yeah, just bringing that awareness in is a great way, where you could have had like it ruin your whole day, and like even for the earlier podcast, there was like hammering, all this stuff happening, and I was just like, well, you know, it's part of the moment, part of the. It's true. Not to write any things off in life or any one off in life, because I've always said I have a hard time finding a problem with people, and obviously we have our moments of like this person, or oh, whoa, I would not want to be involved in that situation, you know, when you're walking by or whatever. But then you're like, well, wait, you know, and you take a second and you sit with it and you're like, but honestly, and you come up with the whole thing. And sometimes you're really right. If you know the person, or you know of the person, you kind of get like an intuitive hit. Well, it's probably because of X, Y, and Z. And then you find out, oh, it was X, Y, and Z that was creating that or causing that. So you're like, oh, everyone's human. So like, you can't just write people off or have a problem with everything, with everyone, because we're all a big ball of problems. You know, it's just, when does that get unraveled and come out? Wow. Yeah, you just flashed this image in my head of, you know, like where that person is just like this chapter that they're in, or this season, you know, you could say. And I once saw, I was really into Malcolm X and just learning about him and in college, and his autobiography was like one of my dad's favorite books, and I just always was very intrigued with him. And it's like, you come to find out that like, you know, at like a young age, he was like a wife beater in gangs, like a thief, like was just doing so many gnarly things, like, and then later became like this, like, you know, amazing husband, dad, father, like fighting for the revolution of his people, like really not being walked over. And, you know, Aretha Franklin, same thing. She was like 22 and a single mom and a prostitute. And it's like, wow, if you would have just capped her or him when they're like in their 20s going through like Dark Night of the Soul or going through this chapter, you would have only seen them as those definitions. You wouldn't see maybe their hurts, or maybe you would, but like you would not allow for their soul or their life to like get to where they were in that expanded way if you just like kept them in that box. So I love that it's like, oh, this is just where they're at in this moment. And like, let's see what they do. Right. Let's see what they choose. They could have just chosen to be that way till the end of time. Right. So not saying that they're going to be like that and change, but like, see what they do, you know? And like, we're all given very different upbringings and experiences, and to really like allow yourself to have that introspection to go, what kind of character do I want to be again and again and again every day? And what does it take for me to get to that energy, to that frequency, to that mindset, to that embodiment, to that character? Yeah. You know, maybe it takes a cool power jacket. Maybe it takes doing weird breath work in the morning, or singing crazy in the shower, or even sometimes it's as small as like changing the drink you're always drinking or something. Like, it's crazy how, you know, you feel a certain way if you're always drinking like a cherry Coke versus, you know, always having a beer at night versus, you know, maybe you're just into lemon with water. You know, that's a different character than the one that's constantly drinking a beer at night. And not even saying one's right or wrong, because I even don't believe in the right and wrongs. Obviously, there's some things right or wrong. But in general, what most people view as like, that's not right. It's like, to each their own, you know? So, exactly, like, you can change these little things, and it doesn't have to, because maybe it's not a jacket. Maybe you put on every jacket in the freaking world and you're like, I don't feel a difference. You know, it's just finding your thing that makes you feel like a different person or a different character, or I don't even want to say different, but close, different, the version that you're looking to be that day. I don't want to say it's different, because like, you're not putting a different, it's just you in a different, I don't want to say different. But like what you're honing in on. Yes. An alternative. Is that a good word for different? I don't know. But I keep thinking of, I remember Kanye West talking about words and vocab words, and I was thinking, oh wow, yeah, some things just sound like discipline. To me is like such a, I hate the word discipline, because it's like disease, you know, making fun of someone like a
yeah,
diss.
exactly. Like things are just like that already sounds So I hate the word discipline. You know, just thinking so different for me. I'm like, it's so like diff. I want to find like a nicer word, you know, for being like
alternate.
I like that.
Yeah, expanding your options.
Yeah, the variety pack. Your variety pack.
Like variety. Also for discipline, I have the same experience with the word discipline, and I've been using the word devotion.
Ooh, I like that.
So that's been a cool shift of like, oh. Okay, so if someone's watching at home, or even for myself, I'm just curious, if I'm starting to get more into improv and I've watched like Whose Line Is It Anyway, or SNL, or, you know, is there any other like cool like shows or like a YouTube thing or anything that people can kind of like dip their toes in that you enjoy watching?
Yeah, there's so many shows now being written with like a scripted improv. So like it is scripted, but most of the time the scenes are improvised. So something like Curb Your Enthusiasm or Veep are great little shows to like watch that aren't just totally improv shows, but there's a lot of improv in the making of it. And then, yeah, if anyone's ever interested, like I feel like it's an intimidating thing to go online or find these classes or schools because they think you have to be a pro or you have to want to be an actor or into show business or like, you know, be an extrovert and someone that like can easily take the confidence on stage. And it's like, no. Sometimes going to do the intro classes or, you know, they do supplemental classes for people to just experience an improv class. And sometimes they do free classes before you even sign up for like a whole, you know, 2-month class, you know, series or whatever, because, you know, it might not be for you, but it is fun to give yourself that permission to go. It's like an adult playground. To go just live in an imaginary world, say whatever, do whatever, be whatever, and not have to be so tied to like the person your bio says you are, or you've been told your whole life is. It's like, no, today I get to play as this person. And that's what's so great.
What a powerful way to get out of your own way.
Mm-hmm.
To take off your own identity, your own skin, and just kind of like see what else you're made of, you know, because we're so multifaceted, and I think we get stuck in like, this is who I am, and this is the life I've chose, and like, and why not also more or different or variety pack.
I want to end on this because it was something that always came up during the whole COVID seasons was like, oh, do I need to wear my mask here? Do I need my mask? Do I have my mask to put on for this? And I was like, whoa. How many times did I subconsciously say that before COVID? Like, do I have the mask? Do I have my mask up? Am I having a mask before I go into this room or that room or be with these people? And it's like, ooh, you don't need a mask. Again, not talking about COVID stuff. No one come sue me. But you don't need a mask. You don't need a mask to walk into that room, to this interview, to that social setting, to this party. It's like, be you. And you is just breathing and being. You don't have to forcibly do anything. Even just sitting here, there was moments of like, what's being on a podcast? It's like, it's talking. We're talking and we're recording ourselves, enjoying ourselves in the tub and having a conversation. And that's a podcast. And you don't have to overthink anything. A lot of the times we overthink everything. So take off the mask. Don't overthink. Just be.
I love that. And let it flow.
Let it flow.
Yay. Well, before we end, I do want to ask, just because we're roomies and just to diverge for a second, I think you have some cool insight because you and Kara, which I know you can't speak for her, but you both decided to jump in full on into a community house, and you both had lived on your own for how many years? I mean,
I was living at home, but basically on my own because all my friends had been off to college. I didn't go to college. So I was really living alone since like 2016. So almost 6 years, but 5.5 years until I moved in December into a community house with 14 roommates. And that all in itself was like life-changing. And obviously because it's 14, you're living now from
might have been 16 at some point.
Right.
Plus like 20 because,
right. You know. Friends that stayed on the couch or in people's rooms and 3 dogs, you know, so it was amazing because throughout my whole training and experiences with acting and just looking to create and you know, get inspired. Everyone's big advice, no matter, you know, I heard Octavia Spencer speak, Melissa McCarthy, Drew Barrymore, all these people talk about like, find your community. And I'm like, oh, find your fam, your niche, your tribe, because that's what's gonna get you places. And not saying like in terms of, you know, using people, but that's your gas, that's your drive to keep the motor going, is like your people to shine back light into you and show you like, you're this, you're that, you can do this, you can do that. And it's like, wow, yeah, that's all it is the belief and the power. But a lot of belief and power cannot fully be generated within. It's sometimes you do need people. That's why we're, you know, humanity. That's why we are born in tribes, or we need people to survive. Loneliness is actually one of the biggest things that kills people. And it's like, whoa, okay, so yes, I can love myself and be full in my cup, but I need a bunch of other cups to be around, you know? So
totally. I need cheers with some people.
Exactly. You gotta cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers it out.
Totally. And do you feel like that has now, like, receiving that from people who you like looked up to, and you're like, wow, okay, they're living a life that balances like acting and show business and improv and comedy with having a balanced life with tribe and community? And do you feel like this experience and your soul fam now, I mean, I know the answer, but just for the audience, do you feel like that has become that? Like those reflections are what you received? And what were some of the like affirmations, or like, how are you feeling now leaving this house? Because now this house is coming to, this chapter is closing. We're going to keep turning the leaf in the other page.
Yeah. But the chapter keeps the book keeps being written.
We still got a lot of this book to go.
Exactly.
So what was this chapter like for you to go from that like space of like kind of living in your head and having these classes and having these experiences, but now you're like around people and like the reflections you're hearing are what? It's
great because we're all our own critic. We all have the critic up here. So especially when like your job, your business is you yourself, as, you know, your emotions, your being, your choices, that even gets more criticized and hectic because you're like, you know, then you don't even want to move. At least with other things, it's I'm building an iPhone. I'm not thinking about what my eyes look like, how I'm saying this, how I do this. I just got to worry about my iPhone being built and looking amazing. But then you got to worry about all this. And it's nice to get out of your own way because you have other people to be like, no, like, again, affirming that you can do anything you put your mind to. You are really incredible and funny. And, you know, you have this energy that just gravitates people to you. And again, me, myself, and I is like, who are you talking about? Because I don't feel it. But that's what's so great when you reflect it to other people. Because what you learn too with living with people is everyone feels that I'm not good enough. And whatever they are doing. So it's like to have people affirm you are good enough, you are enough. And if you just go after it with like the full energy, full tunnel vision on that, you will succeed. You will accomplish it. And that's what's so great is like coming out of this house. It's like, ooh, okay, the chapter's ending, but new chapter to like really chase those dreams and make them happen, because I know I can because of everyone that I lived with.
And that fuel, like it fuels your fire to the sense you're like, oh, it's not okay. It's okay if like your mom says it, or, you know, like one of your friends says it. Like, of course they're going to say it, but you move into a home with 12 to 20 people fluctuating and pretty much strangers. And over time they see you, you can't hide. They see you for your full spectrum for the most part. And they're still showing up going, you're amazing. Not only are you amazing, you're needed. Not only are you needed, you're necessary. Not only are you necessary, like, thank you, you know, for these reminders, for these permissions, for all of this. And that's when you go, oh my gosh. And you hear it a couple times, like, okay, thanks. But over time, if that's the consistent thing that you're hearing, your cup is being filled so much that you start to overflow from that place. And you're like, this is my truth. Okay. Or what is my truth? Or can I refine it in this way to sharpen this and shine this to make it be this next version of what it wants to be? And I just, as a testament for everyone I know, I can just say like how much we believe in you and how much we know that like no matter what you choose, you're just gonna like soar, and you're just gonna bring so much like that levity, that lightness, that pure joy to people, and just like your essence and how you weave in between moments, and just your humility of, you know, cleaning things or doing things and not ever asking for acknowledgement, and just like who you are as a person. You are devoted to life and to living a great one. And You know, I keep holding, I just see, you know, all the visions I see for you, but I just always see these amazing visions of, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, again, this is reflecting back to you, having this podcast, recording these episodes. You are bringing like medicine out to the world, because that's what we are, is medicine for each other. And when I crack a joke or give myself that permission to just sing in the shower for people to hear, it's like, I just gave medicine for someone to also now inject themselves with that and now sing in the shower and do all the different things. So you're injecting people. Wow, a lot
We're
of
drinking
COVID.
The Kool-Aid.
Yeah, a lot.
We're
Yeah,
drinking the Kool-Aid.
I'm using a lot of like Dr. COVID terms right now. So we're not injecting anything, but we are taking each other. We're drinking each other's kombuchas. And having, you know, we're giving each other our juices, and you know, you're watermelon, I'm pineapple, you know, we all gotta have, exactly, we gotta all give each other, you can't just have one fruit all the time. So you gotta have the whole fruit salad. And that's one thing, speaking of fruit salad, I'm thinking of our friend Blue, who makes incredible things, but fruit amazing. And she helped me understand, like, what am I here? What's my purpose? What do I want to do? And it is to bring joy to everyone through my creations and characters, and to help move people into the direction of their hearts. And I'm like, I was like, Blue, that's what I want to do. And she was like, there we go. So that's what I feel like I'm doing, you're doing, everyone's doing, is we're all bringing joy through our creations, through our characters. So it doesn't have to necessarily be movie related, but through our characters and creations, and, you know, moving people into the direction of their hearts, whatever that direction is. Everyone's got a GPS, and it's on autopilot. If you give it over, it could go on autopilot. Stop steering your own wheel. Yeah, trust it. I love that. And I see John just like receiving tons of awards. Like, I just see your office at home with like all these shelves, and you just have so many awards, and not just because you're the best at it, but it's also how you make people feel. And so I just want that distinction to be claimed again and again. And so that's the vision I'm holding you in. And if your wants change and it goes in a different direction, I still see the energetics of those, you know, awards, but I just really see you actually like going hard in the paint, but having it be effortless for you to be able to be in that and really bring that. And I also see you not only inspiring the audiences that watch you, but I also just feel like you inspire the cast, the people, the producers, the grips, like everyone on set will just, you know, like that magnetism that you have that we all feel. Like, I think that's why we're just like, go Johnny, go! Like, you know, and then we're always here for you. And if you ever forget that, we're right here to just poke you and show you exactly who you are. And so it's been such a treat. And thank you for watching another episode of Bath Time with Kiley Mac. And I hope, if anything, that, you know, this episode leaves you, of course, feeling lighter and brighter, and also maybe it inspires you to look up doing an improv class, to get out of your comfort zone, or maybe into your comfort zone. Maybe you don't even know how comfortable you can be allowing all those characters within you that are already within you to come out to play. And so I hope this has been a big invitation for you to just go out and play and sing weird songs and make funny noises and listen to that inner GPS, that inner compass that knows the way. Right? I love it. I love it. Yay. And so we'll link John O'Brien's everything, Johnny's stuff, J-O-B, the J-O-B. We'll link all your stuff below. And then, yeah, I know if you end up doing any improv classes, or if you feel inspired, definitely tag or reach out to John and myself. We'd love to see and join you. Yeah. I know I'm inspired. I'm like, I want to go do at least like one improv class and just show up, and maybe they have stuff online if your area isn't opened yet. But I think what a cool practice. And if it's not a class, maybe you just start doing it in the shower, you start doing it driving, you start doing it with your dog. Just let yourself out to play. Do it. I love that. Just go play. We're all little kids. Get that permission slip signed by you, yourself, and I, and go play. Yes. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yay. Love this. The best. Yeah, all the little friends. All our ducks. I know. Get our ducks in a row. Getting our ducks in a row. Not really, but thank you.